All right, that's recording. Facebook is doing its Facebook thing now. Facebook does its Facebook thing. All right. Always wants me to give it a title. I'm titling it now.
This is Jenny, Jess. We got on today. Did I tell you we had Jenny on today?
Cool,
Say it again,
cool.
Kivo.
Huh?
Say that again.
No, I was talking to Jessica in the background. I didn't know
Oh,
if
okay.
she knew we had you on today.
Tell her I said hi.
Oh yeah, we need to bring up that connect. That's a beautiful thing.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Congratulations.
I should hide my nails from you.
Oh yes, I'll be watching.
They're non-existent.
All right. All right, we are officially in live mode, guys. We are officially in live mode. Okay. We are rolling.
All right.
All right. Okay. Well, Jenny, we are super excited. We are super stoked for you to be with us today. And
For having me.
yeah, no, it's been a long time coming. I think we talked about this maybe 6 or 7 months ago, and it just time happened. Things happen at their own pace. So
Yeah. And I was a little bit fearful too. I never done anything like this before.
yeah, yeah. So Ambrose, if you just want to kick it off and just share with Jenny who our followers are and what it's evolved to in terms of what content we're trying to get out to the people.
Hey Jenny, so our main goal and main objective to really kick off this podcast is to give newbies the opportunity to hear people that's been in the game, who's been doing this for the longest. Give them the game basically, because some of them really don't really understand where to start off when it comes to being a real estate investor. Some of
Yeah.
them be a wholesaler, fix and flip. So we bring all type of people from different walks of life who are in this space, the real estate space, and just give them the game. So that's our main motive, anyways.
Well, I'm so happy to be here and talk with you guys.
Thank you.
So our this is our 25th opportunity to talk to investors like yourself to learn a little bit more about the game. I always ask the first question, tell us about who you were in life in general and how you transitioned into this amazing opportunity of real estate.
Well, I still do nails. So my family owns a nail shop in Irondequoit. And my fiance, Neff, he was a machinist. And we have 3 little ones. And, we are definitely, we're working our tails off just to make ends meet. He got laid off from machining. He had, double carpal tunnel surgery. And, at that moment, we realized we needed to do something more. I have been doing nails for over 20 years. I've always done nails with my family, given a lot of weekends. And he was just like, we got to do something different. We got to do something else. And I'm like, geez, like what else is out there? I'm like, I'm stuck doing nails, right? I'm doing it with my family. And he was like, I'm just tired of working for someone else and doing it for someone else. We got to do something for us. So for the longest time, we kept hearing something on the radio, Dan Merrill's, learn to flip homes using other people's money. And he was just like, you should sign up, for that so we can go see it. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Just brushing it off. And finally he was like, no, we really need to do something. Let's sign up and do it. And so I did. And we signed up, and man, it was like squirrel, right? Everything they said was amazing. And I think it came at a right time. We were both ready. And, so we signed up with Fortune Builders.
Okay.
We went to their 1-day seminar and then their 3-day seminar, and that was game changer. It was mind blowing. So yeah, we drank from the hose and almost drowned, but we did it.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
it was like like so much information that they loaded on us, and it was a
Mhm.
big commitment. You know, when you go to those seminars, you know, they have these big price tags to them, and you know, they talk about, you know, 80% of people who want to do it don't do it, and you know, which one are you going to be? You're going to be the 20% that make it, and you know, we needed to get our investment back, so we were
Right.
determined. 4 years ago was when we started. Yeah, and took that leap of faith and did it, and I still can't believe it sometimes when people say, you know, you really can do this business using other people's money. You know, we have no background in real estate, none whatsoever. And
Mhm.
fast forward 4 years later, we have a small rental portfolio. We're flipping. I'm a licensed real estate salesperson now. So whatever we flip, you know, I'm able to, you know, list that also. So we've come a really long way.
So, you know, what's so amazing about that, I think you're like the fifth interview we've had where the jumping off point was that seminar.
Yeah,
That, and so many people have been positively impacted by, and my understanding is that, Jenny, a lot of it is just the mindset of it, and then the tools. Is that
yes.
accurate?
Oh, for sure. You definitely have to be ready. You have to be dedicated. You have to be determined. We heard no's our first year. It took us a year to get our first deal.
Okay.
Um, we and like we engrossed ourselves into real estate. We did seminars. We took coaching calls. We networked. We went and talked to everyone about real estate. Um, we didn't know what we were talking about. It was like more like diarrhea at the mouth. And then all of a sudden something clicked. And
Mhm.
the more we put ourselves out there, the more we talked to people, it started to make sense. We started to get more feedback. We started to get more traction. And the next thing you know, you get your first deal and it sounds like you've been doing it for the longest time and you get a yes, right?
Mhm.
You get a yes, and then you're like, holy crap, now what do I do? Because I've been hearing no for the past year, right? And you feel like you want to give up. Everyone's like, oh, you know, you did this and you spent how much, and you know, you're crazy for doing that, you're not going to make it. And you're like, you just cannot listen to those haters. And so, you know, we heard yes, and we're like, okay, you know, here it is, it's happening. And then 2 weeks later we heard another yes. So yeah, yeah,
Dope. All right. All
yeah.
right. Well, let me kick the
Transactions we
next.
didn't even know that we were gonna do.
That's awesome. That is amazing. All right. I'm gonna kick the next question over to Kivo.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey,
Again, thanks for joining us, giving us a little bit of your busy time. I know it's busy.
I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to do it.
So I just want to just continue to go into what you were talking about, getting the no's and then finally getting the yes. So just briefly talk to us about and tell us how you found um, your first lender. And you don't have to name names or anything, but just talk to us about that process of finding someone else's money to use.
Yeah. So Fortune Builders was awesome about that. You know, all our coaching calls, you know, them telling us to get out of our comfort zone and go to networking groups. So we went to a bunch of RIA groups, and, you know, we met with a bunch of lenders. You know, when people go around and, you know, they say what they do and who they are, I made sure if I heard lender, I wrote their name down, and that was the person I was going to talk to. And then me and Neff would kind of like draw straws, like you're gonna talk or am I gonna talk? And he'd be like, no, you're gonna talk. And that was our biggest hurdle, was who was gonna make that initial
Right.
meet and greet. And most times it was me, and I would just go up to that person and strike a conversation and just to get to know them. And you know, once we did that several times, you go to the meeting several times, they start to get to know you and know who you are. So when you do come across that first deal, you can present it to them, and you know that they're ready to work with you. Either they're going to want to or they're not. It's just That's how the game is. They like you or they not.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's exactly how it is. And networking is extremely, extremely important because
So important.
people do business and deals with people they know, like, and trust. Right.
Yes,
So
they do.
that is huge, especially if they're going to let you hold on to some money of theirs or trust you with some of their money.
Absolutely. And we're so fortunate enough to be able to use the same three lenders we've been using since the beginning. And I think that says a lot because, you gain a rapport with them, you get to know them so much more on an intimate level, and you trust them as much as they trust you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't want you to deep dive into your first deal because we'll get into that later, but just was your first deal that you went to lender for, was it for a fix and flip or was it for a buy and hold? Like what were you guys' mindset going into it?
So
Did you want to create a portfolio?
the first one was a fix and flip.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. All
Yep.
right. Just wondering where your state of mind was as far as just coming out the gate. Like, did you want to start holding on or just start banking some cash?
So we kind of whatever came our way when it came to buy and holds, if the numbers worked, that's how we approached it. So if it was going to be good for a fix and flip, then we did that approach. If the numbers were better to hold it, then that's what we did.
Right.
So
So
our second deal was originally going to be a fix and flip, but we figured the numbers worked better if we held on to it for a little bit. So we did that. So we fixed it up, rehabbed it, we held on to it for a couple years, and then we sold at the right time.
right. So the numbers basically dictate you guys' exit strategy.
Yeah,
Awesome. That's
absolutely.
an awesome jewel because it's all about the numbers in this game. It's all
It's
about
all
the
about the
numbers.
numbers.
It
Yep.
is all about the numbers. Our mentor talks more about kind of like trading baseball cards more than he does actually like property, just because it's just numbers. Like it's just about
Hmm.
if the numbers work for one person and the next, then you can make that swap. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Ambrose.
Oh, he's muted.
Listen, I keep forgetting about this. So, what is my question is what is typical day like with you, like when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed, being an investor, how is it like?
So it's busy because on top of what I'm doing, I'm a mom too. So we get up, really early, 7ish in the morning. We get the kids up. We're doing breakfast. We're doing, our routine to get them ready for school. And then as soon as they're out the door for school at 9, I'm either doing showings for my real estate business, or I'm meeting Neff. We're looking at properties, or we're going to one of our properties and, we're looking for, more contractors, or we need to go pick up materials. So, Neff and I have really daily, weekly, meetings about what we're going to do the next day, what needs to be done, whatever we're doing with real estate, whether it's, we got to meet with a tenant, or, if we're looking for more prospects, it just depends on that.
Thank you
So
very
we're
much.
squeezing in a lot before the kids come home,
Right.
because once they come home, it's homework, and then, getting them settled. And then if I have to run out and do more meetings or whatever, we're doing that. And so we don't stop until probably like midnight.
So you're basically working at least 18 hours a day, if that even makes sense.
Yeah, I'm grinding. I'm
Right.
grinding late.
Right.
Yep. And he's constantly like, what do you think about this one? And I saw this today. And, we're late in bed talking about real estate. We just don't stop talking about it.
Right. And if you like she said, if you really want to dive into this game, you have to really make sure real estate is number one, priority in your life, because you got to be checking the market every day. You got to be
Yes.
Priority one, number one.
Yeah.
you can't skip the grind. So I definitely appreciate that. For my next question, I know if I'm not making a mistake, right? I know you went to Dan, for your first education. I kind of
Yeah.
did as well when I was in Philly. Is there
Hmm.
any other education that you have took that you have learned? And if so, would you recommend us any of them, please? Like books and
So,
podcasts.
Fortune Builders, I'd say, was number one, the biggest learning tool that we have. They really did teach us about systemizing everything that we have with, repair estimators, contracts, where to do marketing, and then our real estate groups, just networking with people, I'd say is the second. Being hands-on with people, seeing what they're doing, what works for them, what doesn't work for them. I have met some great people in those real estate groups. So our first year, not only was it with connecting with people, but also building our business from the ground up. And I think networking is the biggest piece of it.
Right. Definitely. And also give you insights of what is your market is like. You have people who's on the market, who's in the market that's doing it in your neighborhood as well. So definitely,
Yeah.
I definitely recommend that as well.
And, and as people have experiences, what they gather, what they did wrong, they're so willing to teach you, like, this is what we're, learning from, where I went wrong, this is how you can do better. So we're very fortunate enough that, every deal that we've done, we have learned from, but we have not lost a deal where it was like catastrophic.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll pass the next question to Earl.
All right, guys. So listen, for those of you just joining us, we are kicking it with Jenny Lee. And I was actually supposed to do a quick intro of you. I was just so excited to have you here. I forgot the most important part. So let me just share with our viewers the magnitude of the guests that we have in front of us today. And typically people won't brag on themselves, but I'll brag on them. So just a little bit. So Jenny, you're native Rochesterian, first generation Vietnamese immigrant.
Yep.
We know you have 3 wonderful kids, 14, 10, and 7. Okay. And if I understand this right, so for 4 years, you guys have been in the game, and it really wasn't until your husband's challenge with his carpal tunnel and
Yep.
him being a machinist, that was the push for you guys to be all in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He was tired of people dictating, where he needed to be and the hours that he needed to be, and him working so hard to realize someone else's dream, making them money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, yeah, I could switch out, machining tools with wood tools, right? How
Mm-hmm.
hard can it be? And let me tell you, this man is so particular with
Wow.
how his outcome is because of his machining background. It is crazy to me.
Okay. Amazing. So in the partnership, would you say that you are the visionary or the implementator?
I have to give those hats off all to him. He is the biggest push for all of this. I'm
Okay.
riding along and he is really my rock with all this. I think there's parts where he is so strong and where I may lack of, he makes up for it, and vice versa. Where things he's just not unsure of when it comes to, the back end of things and the office part of things, and, faxing some papers along or whatever, I take on that role. But really, I think we really do balance each other when it comes to relying who does what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a major part of a partnership. Trying to align yourself with someone where you guys have similar vibrations,
Yeah.
and you guys are complementing each other because you're bringing different skill sets to the table.
Right.
If I did the exact same thing as Ambrose, then I'm not bringing him value. Or
Yeah.
if Kevel did the same thing as me, then he's not bringing me value.
Right.
So the fact is that you guys have been able to align yourselves, and your husband and wife. That's even sweeter.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
even sweeter.
It
Now,
has been.
now let's take it all the way back a little bit, because this is not your first business. You guys have had a long rodeo with entrepreneurship, and we have a larger audience that may not necessarily be in wholesaling or in real estate, but they're very entrepreneur driven. So if you could just share a little bit about that journey as well.
So I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My family, when they were in Vietnam, They had like fishing boats, so they sold seafood in the markets. And when they came to America, they started off working in factories, but then eventually started to open their own grocery business. And so, that took off and really supported a family of like 9, right? Because I have 7 uncles. My mom is, one of the only girl out of those 8 kids. And so that business really was the foundation that, put me where I am right now,
Mhm.
hardworking and dedicated. And so that what drives me. They came here with nothing, and to build what they did and to be able to have what we have, that I think that says a lot.
Amen. Amen. All right, Kivo, you got the next question, friend.
Yeah. Before I get into my question, though, I still want to give another shout out to Jin Lee, because I'm just taking on the gravity of who you are as a person. And so, I'm taking notes because obviously you give so much valuable information every time you talk to us. And
Oh,
like,
thanks,
well,
guys.
a mom, a wife, a nail tech, a real estate agent, an investor. She does fix and flips and is a landlord. Um, that's a lot of stuff. So, and you're a woman. Let's just put that out there. So because that's a lot for people, to take on, and you're, a model of like it can be done. Like,
It definitely can be done. When people say that, I can't do this, or, it's too hard, when I hear that, I'm like, no, yeah, it's hard, but you definitely can do it. I am definitely a product of, what people say, like, if you believe in yourself, then you can do it and you can achieve it. And we needed to do it. There was no failure in our vocabulary. We had to make it. We had to, those haters that said that we couldn't do it, that we weren't going to make it, it just made us more driven, that we had to succeed.
right. That's awesome. And you're a mom of how many?
3.
Right. I knew that. I just wanted the audience to know. Like, check that out. A mom of 3, like, getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, if my
Building a
family can
foundation.
come here with no language, no money, didn't know anything about coming here, they just knew that they saw the American dream, and I know the language. I can read and write it. If they made that much sacrifice to get us here, you know, this should be much easier.
Right. Right. And again, I want to give another nod just to what we continue to talk about on here all the time, and what you spoke a lot about is the networking. I mean, because our very first deal, you guys came and looked at it. You ended up not getting it from it, but you gave us so much information freely and willingly, like, and it just so awesome. It felt so good to know someone who was so willing to help. And it's just great. So the networking is just, it's priceless, actually. Like you said,
It
that's like
is.
the most important thing, is knowing other people and building those relationships, because one hand washes the other in this game of entrepreneurship, especially when you're
Yeah.
starting from the bottom, where most of us are. We didn't
I mean, we were once in your shoes, and sometimes I still feel like we're, even though we've only been in it for 4 years, I think we're still really brand new. There's still so much that we can learn. And, when I talk to people who's been in the game 20, 30 years, I crave that. I love that, because, it could take you in so many different directions, and I can see the wealth that it brings. And yeah, I want that for my future.
Absolutely. All right. So being that I took up so much time with that praise, which was definitely necessary for you, I'm just gonna ask one quick question. When you're buying, you're buying whole, just real quick surface, what's a good cash flow compared to buy rate, or the loan amount? Like, what are you guys looking for cash flow?
So we always approach all of our numbers using the Burr method. So that is, you buy it, you rehab it, and then you go to refinance it. So all of our uh, buy and holds need rehab work, and when we go into it, we've been very fortunate. We haven't been able to put any of our own money into it. It's all been lenders, private money. And when the numbers work, we we hope for to make at least 250 a door. So that's at least to make 250 cash flow per unit. And if we could do more than that, then we're banking. We're doing good.
Right, right. Okay. And again, I just needed that out there because the numbers are important. Once you get past the relationship, now the next thing is the numbers need to work. So I just wanted to, put that out there to put in people's mind of you got to have some formula that you use as far as your cash flow and your doors. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ambrose.
So Jenny, speaking of numbers and deals, right? Where did your last two deal came from?
So my last two deals came from wholesalers. So yeah, we bought a buy and hold and we bought a flip. And so those were really awesome.
Right. And I don't think people really understand how important wholesalers are in this business, right? Like
Yeah.
we bring deals to investors,
Yes.
and having the right numbers, especially to put on a contract, is vital as well.
Yeah,
You know?
referrals, and because I'm not out there marketing myself and finding my own leads, when it comes to referrals, or somebody says, hey, we have something for you, they're thinking about me, that I really appreciate, because that means they trust me. And when wholesalers reach out and the deals work and the numbers work, that's what makes it matter.
Right. So what advice could you give to any wholesalers or investor that's listening to this podcast right now that's new to this game? What advice would you give them if you have any?
I would say, like, don't give up, to keep on trucking and keep on networking, fine tune your numbers, know what it is your buyers are looking for. Always look for buyers if you're new, because that way when you do find something, you can just pull it out to everyone so they can pick it up.
Right, right. And that's I think that's one of the most important thing that we have learned, especially
Mhm.
being that we had a mentor that we just, before we were just looking for deals.
Yeah.
And after, when we had a mentor who kind of, teach us a little bit, like, listen, you first have to have have buyers, list of quality buyers, obviously. And once you have deals, you can just bring them to them, it makes
Yep,
everything easier as well.
it
So,
does. Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to pass the next question to Earl.
Okay, so I have a couple big questions, but before I get into it, I'm just going to share screen a little bit. Kivo, if we talked about being able to bring value to investors. We talked about some of the missteps we've had. Could you just share with everybody out there in IG and Facebook what service we provide folks so they don't have the same challenges that we had?
Sure, sure. So what we do is we help newer investors comp their properties. If they're having trouble comping, finding a good comp for a property, or they're stuck on what the numbers should look like if they plan on wholesaling it, because there's a lot of things that go into it. Like the last question I asked Jenny, as far as what her numbers need to look like. So we help with that. So you can just hit us up at realdeals2021@gmail.com. Send us the deal and what you're having trouble with as far as the comp and what part of it you need to understand. And if we can, we're helping you out. We'll help you out with it, because a lot of people helped us out in the beginning. Like Jenny, she came to our first property with a clipboard. I'm like, what is she marking off? And she was counting windows and doing a bunch of other stuff. And so now when I go to properties, I'm counting the dang on windows, because I know that that's what the investor is going to do. So we know all these little tricks and stuff from buyers like Jenny and others that have come out and, done this stuff. So, we just want to pay those things forward is what I'm basically getting to. I mean, we just got to continue to pass that kind of stuff on.
Yeah.
Amen.
I never looked at the windows on a property until she came with her clipboard. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, there was a lot of windows on that property, right, Jenny?
It was a lot of windows. It was.
Some windows, and I'm like, well, who cares? They're not broken, but nothing matters, because she has to replace these windows. They were old windows, single pane windows. So yeah, just that
we
kind of stuff.
appreciated that too, because we were young. We were young in the game, wet behind the ears. We're still kind of young in the game, but we're not as wet as we used to be. So that's a perfect segue for me. So you're 4 years in, your business obviously has evolved. So tell me, based on where you guys are now, what small tweaks have you guys done to increase your ROI when you actually guys get into a deal?
Really picking and choosing the right location, like really picking and choosing the right deals that's going to really work. I mean, minimally, we love to make around, 25,000 on a deal. So
Okay.
if that's, if we come close to that, then we know it's going to work. We've gotten really good about, our zip codes, where we want to invest. If someone comes to us and like, oh, we have a zip code here, in, this area, we know we're not going to get so much because the ARV over there is going to be this amount. So right off the muscle, if they tell us that, the price is this, we know it's not going to work for us.
Awesome. Awesome. And so let me unpack that, guys. As you get better in this game of real estate, you are going to create a playbook to yourself for yourself. And whatever your playbook says, you want to stay in those numbers. Kiva said it about 12 million times. It is really all about numbers after you get past relationships. Now, relationships are super important because a lot of times we can find as wholesalers, we can actually have a distressed property and based on the rapport we built with that person, we can actually get, they don't necessarily care about getting the best price. They just want to be treated right. But when we go to the investor side of it, you better know your investor's buy box. Okay. And just like Jenny just shared, there's certain zip codes that investors have figured out. If I stay in this zip code, my rate of return is much more profitable than if I go to this zip code. So that's really the big takeaway, guys. Know your cash buyers, what they need and what they want. Here's the second question, and I'm gonna kick it over to Ambrose. There's a lot of changing going on in the world right now. Some landlords have, not really seen payment in a while here. So
Yeah.
in the context of real estate, what keeps you up at night?
We are not one of those like a-hole landlords, right? I mean, definitely we got hit hard this year. Definitely our tenants, are having a rough time. We've been fortunate enough where some have come and talked to us and we've done, payment plans with them, or if they need extra services, I'm giving them resources, to get extra help. Or, some aren't paying at all, and we're eating that right now, right? We're struggling to keep that afloat. But, in the grand scheme of things, I guess we're fortunate enough to be able to have reserves and to hopefully plan for that. People think that you're just rolling in all this dough just because you're getting rent in, and you're not. You're paying property taxes, you're paying insurance, and you got mortgage payments, and so everything has to be accounted for. And when you have a short for that, you need a cushion, and we're just trying to make sure that we have that.
Thank you. Well said. I appreciate you sharing. Because again, I mean, there are certain people that are really not understanding that providing housing is a pillar of the community.
Yeah.
And there's a domino effect. If you guys are impacted, that affects 3 to 4 other industries. And I read a statistic, and maybe you being an agent, you know it better than me, that housing impacts 4 to 5 different industries. And when the housing is impacted, people don't pay bills.
Yeah, it's so true. Because if you're not making those tax payments, or you're not paying all that, and how are those funds going to be used for the city? What can they provide if you're not paying that?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're not able to make your mortgage payments, how hard hit is that industry going to be? You're going to be going into foreclosure, or you're going to have to sell. But who is picking up these properties that they're going to have to inherit a tenant that isn't paying?
Right. Absolutely. All right, Kivo, you got the next one, my friend.
All right, I'm looking at the time and see we're winding down. So I want to get into um my other important question because you wear all those hats and I imagine you want to throw some of them back in the ring eventually. Um, so tell me, what's like the in-game cash flow for you guys? I mean, I know you set goals, so talk to us about that. Like, what are you looking at as far as like portfolio wise or flips per year or per month? Like, I know you have numbers on this stuff.
I do. So I need about 25 to 30 doors to say, you know what, I don't really need to work. I want to be able to work because I want to, not because I have to, right? And then I always see us flipping and fixing, whether that's 10 a year or 5 a year. I guess it just depends on what we're doing that year. Do we want to cut back a little bit and spend more time with the kids, which is our biggest why, our biggest reason to be able to do this, to gain financial freedom, is to spend more time with them. And so, we'll play that by ear. If one year we're busier than others, then so be it. But if I decide I want to cut back, then I can do that. That's why I love this industry, because you can turn up the volume or you can turn down the volume, just depending where you are in life.
Right. Absolutely. And again, I appreciate that because that is important. She mentioned a very, very important thing, your why. What drives you in the morning? What keeps you up at night? What gets you going the next day? What keeps you going after you get knocked down or after you get a no for a full year straight?
Yeah.
That why. She slid that in there and I wanted to just bring that out. That is extremely important, your why, and then tied it into what I asked her is your end game or your goals for the financial freedom and the relaxation of mind, body, and spirit. So I knew Jenny had some numbers on this stuff. That's why I wrote that question down, because I know you have these numbers, and I think it's important to have that though, because it gives something again to drive for. What you're reaching for. You just don't want to be out there reaching in thin air and not have those numbers in mind.
Yeah. And we write our goals not only yearly, but quarterly. Neff and I really do get together and talk about, where we've come from, how much further we want to go, where we are right now. You always got to fine tune those reasons and fine tune those goals, because then, we're so hectic in our day-to-day life that when you don't sit back and reflect on what you've achieved and accomplished, it makes you forget. So when you write these things down and then you go back, you're like, oh, check that off, I did that, or check this off, I did that. And it really does make you feel so good.
Right.
I thought my 5th year of doing this that I would then have a portfolio just starting. And to say that we've been able, to have, 5 units right now before our 5 years is amazing.
Right. On top of the flips that you guys have done.
On top of the flips that we've done. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
So Jenny, my question, right? So basically, knowing what you know right now, and imagine knowing what you know right now, and you are being placed in a city where you have no contact, no money, and need a deal within a month.
Mhm.
How would
Yeah.
you go about that? How would you go about
So if I'm going to another city, my first thing I'm doing is going to a RIA group, right? Because that's where you're going to find lenders. That's where you're going to find wholesalers. That's where you're going to find people who are doing it within that city. And because I have systems in place already here, all I have to do is to take that and do the same thing in another city. That's all I have to do. And just meet people, because that's how it's going to get you far.
Right. Thank you. And also for my last question, I don't know if my last question is how can people get in contact with you? Which platform can they get
Yeah, definitely reach me out on
in contact
Facebook,
with you?
private message me. If you reach out to me and you really want to have, a deeper conversation, I'm all about, giving back. And if somebody wants to talk more further into it, we can set a time to do that. We can Zoom. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. So it's not hard to find me. I'm plastered everywhere.
Right.
So Jenny,
Network, guys.
if you can send that your social media contacts to me
Okay.
again, I'll make sure I'll put them in the comments notes when we
Okay.
upload this to Facebook.
All right.
Awesome, awesome. Well, guys, that's another one. Another one's in the books.
Right.
I'm gonna ask this right now to see if I can get you in 6 months to commit to coming back and sharing where you are in with respect to those 2021 goals.
Yeah. I think getting over this first fear,
Mhm.
well, I think I can do it again.
Okay, all
You did
right,
great. You did great.
all right. Well, send us out, Ambrose.
Hey, Jenny, thank you again for being on the show today. I had a blast. I can assure you my partners had a blast as well.
Thank you
Anybody
guys
that's
so
looking
much.
to contact Jenny and work with her as well, listen to the podcast. She has a lot of information that you can learn from. And I'm sure I learned a lot, and I'm sure my partners learn a lot as well. So we are Real Housing Relief. What's the word again?
Revitalize.
Revitalizing the community, one property at a time. That's it.
All right.
All right, Jenny.
Thank you,
All right,
Jenny.
guys.
Good
Take
time, Jenny.
care. Thank
right.
you.
God
Have a
bless
good
you.
weekend.
All right, bye-bye.